8 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Always appreciate your comments and your inputs on the 702 open line. Remember, we're going to have a conversation at 11 o'clock on our World of Work feature, discussing how to make work environments more friendly to mothers. And then at 11:30, on our health and wellness feature, we'll be discussing belly fat and how to lose it. I know a lot of you will be tuning in because it's exactly what you're struggling with. Join the club. 8 minutes now after 10.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
Right now, we start our conversation with the new Minister of Higher Education, Buti Manamela, to have a broader conversation about issues in higher education. Minister Manamela, welcome back to... You haven't been to this building, have you?
No.
You
This
haven't.
is my first time. You guys are living large here.
Everybody says that when they come here. We just have the best studios you
Yeah.
can think of. But
Yeah.
thank you for coming. Welcome to 702. And once again, congratulations on your appointment as Minister of Higher Education. There's a lot for us to talk about. So I want us to get on with it. And I want to start maybe with the issue of SETAs. I've seen that that's something that you want to look at. You want to look at perhaps the redesigning of those SETAs so that they deliver measurable values. Can you just explain what you mean by that? Are you happy with the value that the SETAs provide, and what do you think needs to change?
Look, in as far as both policy and legislation requirements goes, and also in as far as the targets that we've set onto SETAs, I mean, they're doing very good work. Yes, there are, one or two of the SETAs which have faced some challenges in meeting their performance targets, but that's something that we'll have to work on. But as it relates to completely changing what they need to do, that's what's urgent. And I think we, I don't agree that we need to be preparing a funeral for SETAs. I actually believe that we need to be re-engineering the role of SETAs within the post-school education and training system. Our view is that we are building a system wherein SETAs' role is not just to supply the money, and which is not what they do, by the way. I mean, there's a whole lot of other things that they do. But I think beyond supplying money, the link between the post-school education and training sector with industry has to be one of their, major role, because that's exactly what they've been, created for. So we're going to have to go to basics as it relates to that, so that anybody who, receives training that has been sponsored or paid for by sector education and training authorities have a link with industry and almost a better chance of getting employment. So we'll have to get that policy right. And I'm very excited that most of the SETAs have already taken this up, by beginning to rethink how they're going to maximize impact based on the resources that they have. So that's the first thing in terms of, the skills component. But the second one is that I've already asked them to look at ways within which they can collaborate, either based on sectors, or based on, the constituencies that they serve. And I think we can, if coordinated properly, save a lot of resources, because we said to them, accelerate your partnerships in terms of human resource, in terms of financial management, in terms of IT systems, and so on and so forth, because you're basically doing the same thing. And we also need a common bargaining platform, for instance. So that's the second level wherein we want to see SETAs collaborate. The third level is for them to champion programs that help us bring career services to especially scholars at an early age, so that they decide what they're going to study. Secondly, help us resolve the not in employment, not in education youth. Not in training youth, which is now way above 4 million. And lastly, help us deal with functional literacy amongst adults. So those would be the three major programs that we will be driving as a ministry together with SETAs and our department.
When you talk about career services at an early age, are you looking at like career guidance?
Yes, career guidance, definitely. Okay. I mean, one of the major reasons why there is a low uptake for TVET programs, and yes, the numbers are quite high comparatively speaking to what happened 10 years ago, but we're not presenting those options early on. And that's why people want to be lawyers, because they see Ngukai Toby and Dalimpof on television. So we need to promote trades. If we are going to succeed in ramping up TVET colleges and also in ramping up community colleges, so careers we basically refer to that, getting them early.
I'm really excited about that because I come from a village where I remember when we were in grade 12, many of us didn't know what we wanted to do. If anything, I mean, we just applied. I mean, I applied for biological sciences of vets. I didn't even know what that is about, but it just sounded fancy and it sounded like I'm going to get a lot of money and live in Sandton because that was what we wanted to achieve at the time. And part of the reason was that there was no even a career guidance at my school. And I think especially for these far-flung areas, the students there who end up going to find opportunities for themselves are the smartest, the ones who get 9 A's, and either they're going to actuaries or they're going to be doctors or they're going to go into engineering, but the higher levels of engineering. So I'm really excited about that because I think there's space for, especially in the rural areas, for children to be told about the opportunities that exist.
Exactly. Look, I mean, one of the reasons why we have why we have dropouts is because I'm sitting like you in a rural area, in rural Modimolle, and I'm thinking, so I want to be a biological scientist. And my second option becomes what? Theology. And you see, there's no relationship between the two. So people drop out because we really don't know what we want to do, or we don't think that which we want to do is available in the market. And so that's why we're going to strengthen career development, so that we limit the number of dropouts, but also so that people are linked to skills that are in high demand. And that's how we're going to, insist on, universities, our TVET colleges and community colleges, that we have to invest our resources on skills that are in high demand. Secondly, thirdly, yes, emphasis on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But we, I was saying earlier in the week in one of the conversations we're having on the media that, I don't understand why. Okay, there is no skill that's useless. If you have a skill, that skill is important. All that we have to do as the Department of Higher Education and Training is to ensure that there's the right balance of skills that will meet, the needs, especially of our economy and of our communities. And what do I mean by that? I get into conversations where people say, yeah, but you're training a lot of human resources. Yes, we need human resources. Yes, we need to help recruit proper people right for the job, and the person who does that have to be trained for that. As to whether we need 2 million human resource personnel, that's something else. And so we have to redirect the supply side so that it meets the demand. And so one of the things which we said we're going to do, and hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll be ready to make the announcement of a team of people who are going to help us rethink and re-engineer the post-school education and training system, but not only to plan for the coming 5 years, but to look in 2030, 2040, 2050, and imagine what kind of a post-school education and training sector we want to see, at that time. And so a key to this will be, what are the things that we need to do to reorganize the size and shape of higher education so that, yes, still continue with university education, but have bigger TVET colleges and even bigger community colleges. And that's the only way within which we can provide skills for the community, but that will have to take place, through a conversation. So we're going to we'll have to rebuild the trust and social contract with communities, that this is exactly what we demand as a community in terms of skills from you guys, and this is what we want to see as the return on investment. Because as of now, I think that connection between higher education, the department, the ministry, and the people who are expecting these services from us, has somewhat been on the decline.
Okay, we'll talk about TVET colleges in a moment. But when you look at, the many skills being offered are not meeting economic demand, as you say. So how are you planning to facilitate that meaningful curriculum revision, especially for emerging sectors like the green economy and even digital skills? What kind of conversations are you having? What do you think is missing there? Yeah. Do you think that the problem is at perhaps the basic education level, where there's a conversation needed there around our curriculum? Or are you also concerned about what the universities currently are offering and whether or not actually those are the jobs for the future?
Yeah. So it's a multiplicity of interventions. I've already had conversations with the Minister of Basic Education. We've agreed on a much more detailed discussion because they are the supply side for the post-school education and training sector. And so if we say ultimately we want to produce skills for an industrializing economy, for instance, we have to have maths and science kids coming from school and being put into universities. So that's the first conversation we'll have to to unlock. The second one is we have to have a conversation much strongly with business and with industry. If someone is going to do electrical engineering and they haven't seen an electricity box, what's the use of just reading about it when it is such a practical thing? And so you can only get that opportunity of seeing that electric box when you go into industry, if you give an exposure. So we'll have to strengthen that conversation with industry so that part of what we're introducing next year, which is occupational trades, which are specifically going to prepare students for a specific trade. So, you're going to be a plumber, and that's what we're training you for. So, in the olden days or with the old curriculum, you read about what a plumber does. So with the new occupational trades, you're basically going to do, what a plumber does. So that's the second intervention, where business helps us to absorb these kids. And thirdly, then introduction of our occupational trades. And I think finally, we're going to have to strengthen the supply, so that the skills which we provide are the skills which are needed, and so strengthen our research. So as is now, we have what SETAs do, which is determine what the labor market needs from time to time and structure our training based on that. So we'll also have to strengthen that, that element. So those are, I think, the four interventions which will help us, to prepare a graduate that would be ready for employment, that would almost start working whilst they're still attending, their classes. That's the ideal situation we want to see.
Yeah, because there are some graduates who have degrees now that they're like, they're now going back to university to try and find other courses that actually are going to respond to what the economy demands. Yeah. Let's talk about TVET colleges.
Some of them are actually going back to, are going into TVET colleges.
Yeah.
Some graduates, and I think so. We have we've asked a team of people to think about how we can resolve this. Kids who couldn't complete but who dropped out in their third year. That's a waste that we need to convert into qualifications, and how we can repurpose some of those. So that's one of the things which very soon I think we're going to have to say, what do we do with those?
Because there are skills that they attained over the last 2 years before they drop out, or 3 years.
Exactly.
So TVET colleges. You said earlier on that there are more people, more numbers comparatively compared to previously. I would have thought that we're seeing less and less people coming into TVET colleges.
Well, not at all. In fact, the reason why there has been a decline is not because of the demand. It is because we've basically been underfunding both TVET colleges and community colleges, and so that has to change. So we have to put our money where our policies and our aspirations are, and that has to go to TVET colleges. And why I was saying that there's a lot of excitement is it's in terms of the demand. But, I was reading, someone was, on the Daily Maverick, one of the professors from VETS was saying that we shut down TVET colleges and we reduced them from 153 to 50. We actually have more delivery sites of TVET colleges now compared to 1994, almost double.
What are delivery sites?
Campuses. So yes, the number of colleges were reduced to 50.
From 153?
From 153.
Jeez.
But the campuses has not reduced. So what we basically did was to merge I think around 2006, 2007, a couple of the colleges so that each college can have 8 campuses.
Oh, I see.
8 campuses. So we haven't reduced the number of campuses. We only reduced the number of colleges by name. So that's basically what happened. At the time, TVET colleges were about 150,000 or so students. At most, the capacity of the system that we have now is about 750,000. And so we've got to get money to redirect, into those spaces. TVET colleges will help us resolve some of the major problems with unemployed graduates.
How do you change the perception, though? Because, as the department, you've been echoing this message of these institutions being a viable options for so long now, but doesn't look like it's being heard because some people still think universities are like the gold standard.
Yeah. Well, it's so the South African skills system has been created in such a way that it serves the elite and it attracts people into these elite professions. And I think we need to change that. We need to, and that's why I emphasize career development services. Earlier, that we need to change the attitude of kids towards certain trades. And if we say to someone, plumbers and much more than a deputy minister or a minister. Well, I haven't yet been paid as a minister, so I don't know that. But as a deputy minister, a plumber actually makes much more than that.
A South African plumber
or a European plumber. A South African plumber.
Really?
Yes. And more than some of the other professions. So that's where we redirect. So that's the kind of message that we're driving. Relooking at our artisan development program to try and amplify in terms of advocacy to send out the message. We're working very closely with life orientation teachers, to try and make sure that they also send the message, at that level. So that's how we're getting to, and then we've encouraged TVET colleges to have open days where people see, this thing, and hopefully also orbit TVET colleges, which are the new kid on the Premier League, will help us fly the TVET, flag very high, but. It's about us consistently being intentional in emphasizing the message that universities are not the be-all. And what I'm happy about was when I had our meeting with the university vice chancellors, and 80% of that discussion was about how do we use the capacity we've developed in universities to transfer that into making TVET colleges a better space.
Because even the universities just don't have enough capacity.
Oh, no, of course, yes.
And speaking of the universities, they've expressed their willingness to get involved in strengthening TVET education to produce work-ready and modern economy-suited graduates. What contribution do they think they can make? And are you also talking to the private sector?
Yes. So universities, we have in the country universities that are, more than 150 years old. So that's a very strong tradition. We've said to the University of South Africa already that we want to start conversations with them around starting an online or digital TVET college for those programs where you may not necessarily need intensive, workplace exposure. Secondly, all the universities have indicated their interest to partner with TVET colleges around, research and development. And I think it's an area that we need to strengthen as the department so that we deal with it. We cannot expect TVET college students and the TVET college system to innovate if they do not have research capacity. So that's part of the partnership. And then thirdly, universities have to help us train, better lecturers, for TVET colleges. That work is already been done through partnership between, TVET colleges, our department, and various universities. So I think that, that's quite helpful. But finally, we have to have a system that articulates, meaning that if you move from a school into a TVET college, you should be able to move either to work or to a university to further study. Those cases are there, but those cases are very few, where one starts, his engineering studies at a TVET college with national certificate vocational and completed PhD level. So if the movement within the system can be easier, I think universities would have played a crucial role in helping us, let TVET colleges be seen as what they are.
Okay, before we get to the headlines, I want you to touch on NSFAS.
Yeah.
Because there are systematic issues at NSFAS, and I know the focus is also on the leadership, but some of the issues are not going to be resolved with just new leadership. They are too systematic. We are also dealing with an issue where a new minister, every time there's a new minister, there's a new CEO.
Yeah.
It's like in the police. A police minister wants their own police commissioner, which then actually is where the situation gets messed up because of allegiances and someone else who comes wants their own people. What do you think you're going to do to try and resolve the systematic challenges at NSFAS, especially because government really is still underfunding NSFAS? And without that funding and capacitating it, then you're not really going to resolve.
Yeah. Look, firstly, I think we must play the role we should play as the department, which is policy and oversight of the NSFAS, and allow the NSFAS to be able to make decisions in terms of operations, in terms of their digital system, which I think is where they need to improve, in terms of their accounting systems. I'm shivering when I think of what the AG is going to say about the NSFAS in terms of their finances, but also in terms of governance and their capacity at senior management level. And that's where we're going to, have to play that oversight role. And my conversation with a whole lot of people have told me that, have indicated that part of the bigger problems at NSFAS has been as a result of political interference. Whether that's true or not, that's something else. But it's something that I'm taking to heart because I believe that our role as government, as it relates to the disbursement of funds to the NSFAS, has to primarily be that of policy and oversight, and let the NSFAS, which is what it was created for, to dispense resources. The second thing is that NSFAS has inherited functions which are not supposed to be theirs. And we'll have to relook at the organization and what it does and what it provides to students and what is it that is at the nucleus of its role, and whether some of the things that they've assumed as roles, they should continue doing that.
Like what?
For instance, accommodation, student accommodation. We'll have to, yes, NSFAS must be interested where the students, where they pay the room, whether that room is worth the money that is being said. But, how does it go beyond that? Why does it go beyond that? So those are some of the questions which we should.
Because I think they owe
some of the questions that we need to ask, and how that function relates to what universities do. Then the third thing, which is quite exciting that they briefed me about, is the discussion they're having with universities to have the old financial aid offices being resuscitated on campuses, and to look at how we can serve, TVET colleges, which is a completely different niche market. In the long run, we have to think about how we can create a sustainable student funding model. I said at the press conference that I am not the minister of NSFAS. That's not my role. My role is much bigger than NSFAS. And for us to not spend as much time as we are currently doing, which is basically listening to what the problems are at NSFAS, is to make sure that we stabilize it, at least within the next 3 months, on all of those key areas, and then start a serious conversation about how we can have sustainable student funding into the future.
All right, I've got some more questions about NSFAS, some follow-ups there,
sure.
but we'll get to them after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines.
The talk.
20 minutes before 11 o'clock, we're in conversation with Buti Manamela, who's the Minister of Higher Education and Training. We've already had a discussion about SETAs, about a little bit about NSFAS. We'll get more into that. We also spoke about SETAs, NSFAS, the redesigning of the post-education system and working with, of course, the higher education sector. We spoke about TVET colleges. I want to give you an opportunity now to give your inputs, to ask questions if you've got any on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Let's start with Tiani, who's calling us from Pretoria. Tiani, good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning, Minister.
Morning.
My question is on entrepreneurial development, entrepreneurial mindset development for university graduates. And I am biased because I teach at a university. So, Minister, I'm a research candidate, and my research focused on how we develop an entrepreneurial mindset in university graduates across the disciplines. So in light of that, I'd like to know how you envision this as primarily a university-led initiative where each institution crafts its own approach, or should the department, DHET that is, take a more active role in setting a national policy framework to ensure that there is consistent support? And also, given that university might operate in silos, what kind of support or coordination do you, as a department, plan to offer to help integrate the cross-disciplinary entrepreneurial efforts effectively?
So to incorporate entrepreneurship across the board. But Tiani, there are more and more universities are taking that up, eh? Or are you asking the minister more around how do you coordinate, like how do you help coordinate that and have a conversation about that?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by more and more universities doing it, because if you look at the implementation across disciplines, so it's not only looked at an activity or an entrepreneur, a module that is only done by students who are in the business discipline.
Okay, I see.
A student in engineering, a student in humanities, a student, because these are the students, whether they go and become entrepreneurs or not, you need to develop the entrepreneurial mindset, because even corporate need people who are able to think in that way, creatively, more critically. So those skills will not only help them start businesses, but it just helps them overall. But in the context of the South Africa that you live in, we need more entrepreneurs.
Got you, Tiani. Thank you so much for that. I think that makes more sense, because I was about to say that the institutions I know of, I go to Gibbs, and I know Gibbs offers that. I think VETs, there are other institutions that have taken that up, but I get what you mean. I'll get the minister to respond in a moment. Let's go to Benny in Bramfontein. Benny, what do you want to say? Hi.
Hi, Clement and the minister. The minister, you said earlier on that those three students who dropped out of the university at third year level is a waste. So that must be converted into something, maybe a certificate of some sort. My question now to you, Minister, how do you say that to my cousin, who for the past 6 years, she completed out of her own pocket a diploma in public management with one of the TVET colleges, and the problem is where she is working, it is not a government institution. It's an NGO, and then on the basis of that, they are saying she will not be able to do what? To graduate for that. So the department will not release that certificate up until she gets an internship from the government institution, which will set her back because it will therefore mean that if she is earning 15,000 rand per month at the NGO, then she has to go back to the government, which is going to give you a stipend of 3,000.
Why is the college why is the college prescriptive, Benny, on where this person must get experience? Because experience is experience, right?
No, they say you must get an experience. So she has completed, and out of her own pocket, unfortunately. So why is our government doing this to our own black people? For one, I went to the University of the Northern Cape. I was thrown into the deep end. I went straight to work, and why can't they just release? I mean, this person, for heaven's sake, is not owing any cent to the department, but they are holding on the certificate, and it's not only her. So the department must look into that. It is not fair.
Got it. Benny in Braamfontein, thank you so much for your call. Minister?
Look, I mean, if Benny's sister can show that after completion of the formal program, they went into a work-based placement, and that work-based placement is is something that was linked to what they were studying, and that fulfills their requirements. I think that's all. Whether it's done in an NGO or in a government institution and all of that, as long as what you are gaining experience on is what you studied, and that's why that's what completes a diploma. And I think we'll leave numbers for Benny to call so that we see how we sort that out. Secondly, I agree with Tiani fully, and some of those points that she's mentioning, government has already started doing. We are making sure that all students, most students, get to study either new venture creation or entrepreneurship, and so on and so forth. We believe that, and I think as per the National Development Plan, that 11 million of the jobs have to be created from small, macro, and medium enterprises, and we can only, succeed in that task if we consciously intentionally train young people, to become entrepreneurship. We get our research. We have the South African Research Chair Institute, one of them based at VETS, which is focusing on entrepreneurship education and which constantly, provides us with policy briefs that guides, our implementation of entrepreneurial education. So I fully agree with Tian, and I think it's something that we'll have to take it up, probably also at a coordination level.
Yeah, Solomon in Johannesburg. Hi.
Thank you very much. And Honourable Minister, good morning, and thank you very much for giving us the time to chat to you. Just 3 points very quickly. The one on the re-engineering, I believe there's about 21 SETAs at the moment, and I think that they need to be reformatted. They're not taking into consideration digital convergence as well as convergence of professions in the built environment and in the digital space and some of the other areas. So I think the traditional look of trying to have these SETAs which were engineered like 2 decades ago definitely needs to be reconsidered. The second issue is the revenue leakage in these SETAs. The reality is that you've got each of these have, if there's 21 of them, you've got 21 regional offices sitting in each and every single province, which doesn't make sense. That revenue leakage could be plugged in through a single one-stop shop for SETAs in the regional offices to be able to deal with this. The third point that I would like to make on the re-engineering, unfortunately, in the SETAs on the training, we have spoken to some of the SETAs, for example, of using blockchain as a technology, both from a training side as well as from those that are being on the trainee side to manage that, because we know the fees are being paid to ghost training colleges or to ghost trainees, and as part of that, using blockchain as an alternative would really nip that in the bud. And at the same time, with the blockchain, you can then create a digital ID or a digital wallet for each learner, and that can then capture their information going forward. So those are technologies that need to be accommodated within that. And then the last issue, which is a sad issue, Minister, unfortunately, is the placements that are taking place at universities at the moment. It's no longer just a case of having the right scorecard, but unfortunately, you're having gatekeepers at these institutions that are now asking payments for places at the universities as well. So I think that fraud also needs to be sorted out, and I think that's a critical issue where many kids are not getting the opportunity because of the gatekeeping that's taking place. And it's said some of the higher positions or professions that people want to yearn to, people need to pay anything up to 25,000 rand to get their kids in. That's incorrect, Minister.
That's crazy. I didn't even know.
Yeah. I've had few cases that we had to deal with that we've referred to specific universities to resolve. Some of them were false claims, but some of them were found to be right, and the people who were found guilty were prosecuted. Firstly, secondly, I agree with everything that Solomon mentioned. I agree that we need stronger coordination of SETAs in terms of their resources. I've already spoken, to that. I also agree with him, and I already spoken to it about SETAs basically coordinating amongst themselves and amongst sectors, and also around blockchain. And not only for SETAs but for the entire post-school education and training authorities. We've got to be having our qualification here. If you want it, I can send it to you. If you want it verified, we should be able to do that. So I fully agree with him, and I think it would be interesting to talk further with Solomon on some of the ideas that he's raised, because so part of the discussions we want to have with legislation amendments is, and I know most of the vice chancellors are concerned that we want to focus on their autonomy. That's not the discussion. The discussion is, how do we take advantage of the fourth or fifth industrial revolution in making our post-school education and training sector effective, and what legislative changes do we need to effect for that to happen?
Yeah. Should I put you in touch with Solomon?
Yes.
Solomon, I'll put you back to the producers, and then we'll get the producers to get you in touch with the minister's team.
Could just write down that stuff.
The contacts. All right. It's 10 minutes now before 11 o'clock.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
Johannesburg has a deep well of talent, whether you're talking business, you're talking politics and so on, and yet it is falling apart. If Helen is a viable candidate for Mayor of Joburg, they themselves have capitulated. South Africa's problem and its decline is that people don't want to step forward and save the country from disaster.
Songezo Zibi, we have a leadership crisis in South Africa. We need younger people to step up, and that's in light of the argument that he makes there around Helen Zille.
The Midday Report
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
62 million rand in total estimated Powerball and Powerball Plus jackpots could see you rolling in the millions this Tuesday. Don't miss out. Play Powerball for an estimated 21 million rand and Powerball Plus for an estimated 41 million rand today. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates' timeless wisdom reminds us of the power of introspection. At Plus 94 Research, we delve deep into data, uncovering insights that drive meaningful decisions. Our scientific methodologies transform questions into clarity. Don't just operate, understand. Don't just guess, know. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision-making.
Meet the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7, re-engineered to be our thinnest and lightest foldable yet. Move with confidence, powered by an ultra-sleek, ultra-slim design that adapts wherever life takes you. Open your world to expansive screens, seamlessly crafted for work and play. It's innovation that fits your pocket. Upgrade to the new Galaxy Z Fold 7 and get double the storage on us. Hurry, offer ends 31 August. T's and C's apply.
Do you know what's hiding behind the colorful packaging of unhealthy food? Big food companies target children with unhealthy packaged foods that hide high levels of sugar, salt, and fat, which could lead to heart disease, diabetes, and hypertension. But the truth is hidden from consumers. Front of package warning labels are a proven solution to help consumers make informed decisions. The government must act now. We have the right to know what's in our food. Demand front of package warning labels. Sign the petition on heala.org, heala.org, by the 30th of September.
News at 6.
How worried are you about the U.S. investigations into MTN in Afghanistan and sort of Iran?
What we announced to the market is that we've received a request for information from the Department of Justice. We're voluntarily cooperating with them. They have not accused us of any wrongdoing. And we felt that, because of the position that we hold, we would engage them, and we've engaged also with the SA authorities.
Ralph Mapita, the group CEO at MTN.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB, backing the Ideas Fund by advancing capital to African infrastructure investment managers. Your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
6 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's go to your voice notes on 072 702 and 702.
Good morning, Clement and 702 listeners. Also, good morning to the minister. Yeah, I teach at one of the CETs in Gauteng, which is Community Education and Training Colleges, which is under the Department of Education. I would like to know, what is the minister going to do to transform this sector? At this sector, we are hired as lecturers. We teach fractional hours, which is 3 hours a day. There is no development of educators, no workshops, no resources like from ATPs, work schedules, especially for those educators who are teaching grade 12. So I'd like to know, what is the Department of Higher Education doing to transform this sector? First, we want full-time employment, not 3 hours. Thank you. I'd like to remain anonymous.
Very good morning. Please ask there on my behalf, specifically from Minister, as to, isn't there anything that can be done, or isn't there any measures perhaps that can be put in place in terms of ensuring that subsequent the completion of a particular qualification, it could be at the varsity level or at the college level, isn't there anything perhaps that can be done to make sure that subsequent having attained or acquired all those qualifications, the chances of you to be employed can be enhanced, because of it's quite challenging and pestering, having to study harder, and subsequent to that, when you have to find job, you are being told of the lack of experience, etc., etc. Yeah, this is Maxwell in.
Understand?
Yeah. Firstly, so over the last 12 months or so, I've been working very closely with the community colleges sector. So that's the old adult schools. And we've been on a program. This was the 10th anniversary of the community college sector. So we've agreed that the focus now has to be on rebranding, the community college, so that they have this distinct but part of the PSAT, sector. Secondly, that we have to introduce programs and qualifications that attract, especially young people who are not in education, employment and training. So, we'll be introducing the national adult, the national senior certificate for adults, NASCA, which will be linked with a skills program. And then there's going to be an elaborate training of lecturers. Now, the lecturers at community college is one of the biggest problems we have. The sector has 150,000 students with 12,000 lecturers. And, the lecturer who called Anonymous says that, they work for 3 hours. There are some lecturers who are still on the payroll who actually do not see any student at all for the whole year. So and it's not their problem. It's not their problem. It's a problem that was inherited when these lecturers moved into from schools into community colleges, and most of them are mostly just qualified as teachers for specific programs. So we have to repurpose an entire core of 12,000 lecturers for them to be able to provide the skills that would be relevant to link the people that they'll be training to employment. So that's a conscious program that we're intending to. So it will involve a whole lot of things. Natural attrition, letting some of them, retire, encourage some of them to adapt into technological training programs that we're going to be engaging into. So there's a whole set of interventions that we, are looking for. This is, an important sector. We were in Colombia, and they have, one of similar institution that absorbs about 8 million people from the ages of 15 to the ages of 65, 70. If you want to learn how to cook, you should be able to go to a community college. If you want to learn how to spray paint a car, you should be able to go to a community college. So that's the kind of institution that we need to build. And we cannot do that only with teachers who can just teach maths and science. We will have to give them additional skills for them to be able to train. So this is going to be one of the anchors of the post-school education.
When you say there are some that are being paid, is it at the community level? Is it because they don't have those skills that you're talking about, the teachers?
Yes. So it's because the number of students is extremely low. So these are the things which we're providing now at community colleges. So I'm sure you've heard of second chances. So if you fail your matric, you get to that, and then they deal with adult basic education and training levels. So your if you can't read and write and you need to progress, and then they will have programs such as pine gel making. They'll have programs such as fixing a car, spray painting, and so on. So some of the teachers do not have the capacity to be able to train people in those areas, and that's the point which we want to to address. And I'm happy that he's raising that as one of their challenges.
Okay.
And then what was the second caller?
I think you covered everything.
I covered everything. Okay.
I think so.
Okay, great. Yeah.
All right. Minister Buti Manamela, thank you so much for coming through. Truly appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
11:02. Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.